Greetings, Dr. Joseph Martin here. Trances of technology and technology's dulling effects on humans of all backgrounds and kinds. Trances of technology, and here I want to say that I'm not talking about the benefits that technology is bringing in terms of the ease of finding ideas online, say from Wikipedia or whatever. I'm actually talking about technology in its inherent mechanical, electromagnetic, and electronic technique. And also, as Marshall McLuhan has said, the media becomes the message. That is TV or radio or whatever it might be, all kinds of technology. They become the force that controls us. I have been so grateful to have studied and trained with Dr. Marshall McLuhan, Dr. Northrop Frye, both from the University of Toronto when I was studying and teaching there, and also Jacques Ellul, the Technological Society, Ivan Illich, Deschooling Society, and many, many others. I've studied with these all in person since I was a very young man, and I've thought about what they've offered me and us over all these decades. I'd like to offer for you to find some understanding for yourselves of what technology is doing to you and to us. I'm going to look at it from a biological point of view, a psychological point of view, and a social cultural point of view. So and then I will talk about how we can decompress or defrag ourselves from what technology has already done to ourselves, our brains, our nervous systems, our psyches, our souls, and our societies and our relationships. It's basically destroyed and changed them, but not irrevocably, because our consciousness can undo all of these things as we open up and free ourselves in every way. Well, we know that technology, let's say television in particular, and radio and other things as well, is a soporific. It's a drug. It dulls our senses. It dulls our minds. It makes us stupid. It makes us idiots. We sit there in front of the TV box and there's nothing creative going on. We just absorb all these things. And it has an effect on us. Now, biologically, it changes the brain waves. It has a very kind of a flat line for the beta and the alpha state of the brain waves. And it controls you. It creates like a hypnotic trance, which is why we call these trances of technology. And this hypnotic trance not only dulls you, it puts you to sleep and makes you unconscious and incapable of acting proactively in any way. I'm sure every one of us has sat in front of a TV and found it almost impossible to get out of the chair, out of the sofa, because it's put us in a trance and we just feel like stuck there and asleep, and as if we could sit there for a long, long time. And with young people, how unfortunate that they're stuck with these Xboxes. Nothing against that, but the whole technology of video games, and much of it aggressively murderous, I would say. It's all about killing and so on. It's not the best way to become a warrior. That is an internal psychological process. But it entrains their brain waves, the two nervous systems, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems, into an entrainment that's in alignment with the actual electromagnetics of the technology in a way that it stops them from ever becoming innovative or creative or thinking for themselves. In fact, many children, unless they're trained at home, homeschooled, or they go to a Waldorf or a Montessori school, they're incapable of thinking for themselves. And it's the technology and the media, mostly television and also radio now, and online handheld iPads and iPhones, that's the technology that's wired to their fingers now. They can't go anywhere without having it in their hands. This is actually quite dire for our circumstances, for our young children and their futures and the generations to come. Not only that, but we could talk about, from my work as a specialist in feng shui and so on, Vastu Shastra Vidya, that we know that the negative electromagnetic frequencies from hydro towers and hydro posts outside your home, cell phone towers, all the kinds of ungrounded plugs in your home for inputs for your electronics, All these things have negative electromagnetic frequencies and energy fields that are out of balance, out of warp, and out of sync with your own harmony of your energy field of your body. And actually, we know from many research that's been done for over 40 years now that these kinds of processes cause cancers. Hydro towers nearby your home will cause cancer and leukemia in your children, and people using cell phones close to their brain. There is a lot of evidence that I've read by scientific researchers on how it can cause brain cancer. Well, that's the biological story. Now, the psychological story is that it creates sheep out of you. It creates cows or monkeys in a way, a herd mentality. It dulls your sense of individuality. It dulls your sense of creativity and innovation. It stops you from thinking for yourself and actually has an effect of stopping you from even feeling anything at all. When you see bombs going off daily and suicide bombers on the television, or listen to stories of this on the radio or on your computer screen, we get immune to the humanity of all the illness and death and murder and warfare that's going on the planet everywhere around us. And we're so shut down, we're so icy frozen in our emotions and our psyches and our souls that we cannot even respond in a positive way, except sometimes perhaps giving some money to do charity work. The good news is the millennial generation is switching it up and deciding that they want to actually make a difference. They do travel around the world and they build schools and libraries and hospitals and orphanages, and this is a good sign, isn't it? But the dulling effects on the human individual is dire. It's making us robots and clones and zombies and making us unconscious and incapable of acting or thinking or feeling at all. Now, socially speaking, as a social psychologist, I can see that if I look over the last few decades, of the last 2 centuries, decade by decade, people are becoming socially immune to even supporting one another, more paranoid, more, in a way, kind of shut down, more sociopathic, more psychopathic. And in a way, what this has done to people is, especially with the technology of iPhones and iPads, there's no face-to-face communication anymore between people. It's all face masks. It's all just, inauthentic. You can lie about your true nature if you're on Facebook or any other social media, Twitter or whatever it may. Now, I'm nothing about those particular programs because perhaps in some way they are useful. But what is it doing to our social relationships? What it in fact is doing is people very infrequently have face-to-face human contact where you're being with somebody, looking them in the heart and in the eyes, face-to-face, and really enjoying some meaningful social expression and participation. This is, people are shut away in their homes. They're just doing what they do. They drive in cars alone to and from work. They go home, and loneliness is rampant on the planet. There's social chaos, social breakdown, lack of trust in our social institutions. And it's all caused in a way by this increasing hegemony of technology and how it's putting all of us in a trance of fear and paranoia, shutdown, distrust, and so on. Well, there will be further videos on this on the I Am Self-Worth Healing Coaching Program. However, what are some of the responses of how you can get out of this? Well, in my own personal life, professionally, and my own training, and also what I've offered to all my clients and workshop attendees, there are a number of things. If you look into NLP or neuro-linguistic programming, you'll see how to dehypnotize yourself from all the social commandments that have been put out through technology. And you can do some training and take a basic and a master's and a trainer's level in neuro-linguistic programming. One of my most important and valuable means of finding my own inner kind of path again was rebirthing, which is a technique brought to the West again. It's an ancient Kundalini Kriya technique to help us move forward, and we can do what we need to do for ourselves through breath work. I Am Yoga, which you can participate with online, also gives you some way of looking at all the possibilities of finding a meditative inner center. Now, it's very interesting to me as a psychologist and social anthropologist that those people who have freed themselves from technology are those who either threw their technology away or were put in isolation and prison where there was no technology. And here I'm referring to at times in their lives, we have Gandhi doing this, a simpler life, and of course, Mandela was in prison for 27 years, and Martin Luther King was in jail. These times of internal compression, when you're taken away from society or you choose to be away from society, are the times when you actually come to some clarity about what's happened to you and to all of us. And then you can kind of turn it around, switch it up, transmute it all, find your inner uniqueness and freedom and love, and come back to the world and make some emancipatory statements and progressive actions and pragmatic steps to turn this around. And we can and we will do this individually and as a human society. Well, there's more that I could say. Do stay tuned. I'm going to give you the story of the tiger who thought he was a sheep, but that will be in the next video. Thanks very, very much for watching and listening and participating in your own life and in our social reality. All blessings, Dr. Joseph Martin.